There's a new Pro Tools expert on the block, and his name is Adam from RealHomeRecording.com. Pro Tools and I never really got along. It simply isn't very intuitive, and there are too many things to click, too many places where your mouse arrow changes, and then there is the crashing factor and the system requirements. Now look, improvements have been made over the years, and I applaud Avid for doing that. So Pro Tools isn't as bad as it once was. However, it can still take a while to wrap your head around the important stuff. This is a tutorial mainly for people who are familiar with other digital audio workstation software and want to learn Pro Tools. I won't explain what every little thing is as to not waste your time. I'm only going to talk about shortcut keys as it applies to Windows users, so sorry if you're on Mac. And I will not go into detail about what everything means. These are need-to-know basics to record, edit, and mix. First of all, to change the sample rate, first close out of this, and then go to Setup, Playback Engine, and then from here you can change your sample rate and your hardware and anything else that needs to get changed. Well, not everything, but you know what I'm talking about. To create a new project, go to the File menu and click Create New. If Create from Template is checked, uncheck it, and then type in the name of your project. For this one, I'll call it RHR. Then click on Create. Now this is kind of annoying, but because this is Pro Tools first, they always have this screen up and there's no way to get rid of it except to hit OK every single time. And the first thing I want to do is maximize my window. So click that button. And then a button that you will be using a lot is Control =. And that flips back and forth between Edit View, which we're on right now, and Mix View, which for some reason is not showing me anything. Oh, that's right, because I need to add tracks. So yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about. So to add a new track, go to the Track menu, New, and then from here, we choose our options. So we can choose how many tracks we're going to create, what type of track. So for this, I'm going to do mono, and then audio track, auxiliary input, and we have a bunch of different ones. So right now I'm just going to do audio track, and then samples. I don't know why the default is ticks. You only want ticks when you're doing MIDI. All right. So samples for waveform stuff, and then hit create. If you want to add different track types, you press this plus button here, and then if I want to add, say, a stereo, I don't know, master fader track, I can do that. But for right now, I'm just going to add one track to make things a little simple. So then hit create. To rename a track, just double click, and then we'll call this voiceover. And then I'll hit, if I want to enter comments, I can do that. If I have multiple tracks that I added, I can press next or previous to make the renaming process simpler, and then hit OK. If you want to change your track color for some reason, you see this vertical blue bar right here. Double left click this, and then we can let's do red. All right, and then hit X. And let's add another track. So we'll add a stereo track this time. Actually, we'll add MIDI. Let's add a MIDI track, because I will be needing to do that later on. But instead of a MIDI track, I'm going to add an instrument track, and I'll explain why later. And make sure that's on ticks. Hit create. And the reason I wanted to do another track is because I want to show you that here's how to grab and move tracks. So right now, voiceover is track 1. Click, drag down, and you see how it activates in orange. Drag that like that. And then if I want to do that one, again, clicking, dragging down, and then the orange line appears, because I think if you release it right here, it doesn't work. Yep. So you have to see the orange line. And there you go. And I'll rename this to keyboard. Next step, I want to hover over this, which is called the Edit Window View Selector. I don't really know how to describe that icon other than it's right here. Click that, and then this allows you to see more things on the left side of the screen. So I'll do Inserts, A through E, and I'll also do, let's do Sends, all right? Sends, A through E. Now, if I ever want to get rid of these, just hold the Alt key and click, and it gets rid of them. It gets rid of that one too, and IO as well. So you can really minimize everything. You can't get rid of this one, but everything else you can get rid of. And then if you want to bring it back, let's see, I did IO, and then I also did Inserts. So I'm actually going to keep Sends off of this for now. And I will add one more track. So track menu, also Control-Shift-N does it. So let me do that. And I'm going to add the master fader because for some reason it's not on by default. So master fader right there. And then again, samples and hit create. Next up, I do want to select my inputs, and by default, this is already the correct one that I want, which is my VAIO1, and the reason I know that is because under here, VAIO1, right here, it might not say it anywhere, but I know that it's VAIO1, and if I didn't know that, all I would do is hit the record arm button, which is my next step, by the way, and you're going to hear an echo. And I'm going to get rid of that for right now. So that's how I know that is my correct input. If for some reason you can't hear that, then hit the track monitor icon right here, the I. So hit that and then hit that button, and you should hear your input. Unless your gain is down. In that case, turn your gain knob. So once we have our input selected, we want to change the tempo. And tempo is up here in what's called the transport area. So if you click that number, you can change it. I'll change it to 160. And if you have a different time signature, aka meter, click this right here where it says 4/4. Double click actually. And then you can change it right there. If you want to do tap tempo, which I do recommend because it helps, then you press the T key while music's playing or while your musician's doing his thing. And I'll do that right now. And it didn't actually change it up here. So let me try that again. So if I click that. Okay, so if you do tap tempo, you want to do the T after you click on that. See, I thought it automatically did it, but that's not the case at all. It just changes this for some reason. So again, if you want to change your tempo, click the number, and then tap tempo is the T key. Another important thing is setting up your cue mix for your musician. That could be you or somebody else. They need to have a mix going to their headphones usually. And the way you do that is create another track, new, and then find aux input. I'll do stereo, and again, samples, create, and I'll call this cue mix. And the way I'll do this is I'm actually going to go to my mix window now, Control equals, and on my send right here, where it says sends AE, click that. And then the output will be my cue mix. And, 3/4 is the normal output for a cue mix. You can, depending on your hardware, you can have more than just that. But I have 3/4. And then make sure that your level is set at the appropriate level. Now, typically I would monitor the microphone input directly from the interface. But if you were doing music that was already recorded and you're recording vocals, then you can set up your cue mix so that it's different from the mix coming out of, your control room speakers. So to delete a track, because I actually don't want that auxiliary input anymore, you can just right click right here and then hit delete, and it gets rid of that. Now unfortunately, if you delete a track by accident, you can't get it back. Yep, that's one of the fun parts of Pro Tools. Okay, so another important thing to do is the click track. You need a click track usually when you're recording music. So go to the track menu, go down here where it says create click track, and that adds this. Another thing you can do is add a click track as a plugin. In that case, you can make a new track again. I'll just use this track for now. Click right here. And this is also how you add an insert, by the way, in effect. You click right here, go to plugin, instrument, click, and then you can use that right there. And the beautiful thing about this, compared to, actually I think if you just click this, it's the same thing. Yeah, it is. So I'll just use the normal click track. Oh, by the way, to get rid of a plugin, you right click and hit no insert. You have to actually click it on the left side right here. Again, another little annoying thing about Pro Tools. You can't right click it in the big part. You have to right click it in the small part. Why not just add in that stuff in the large part? I don't know. Ask Avid. Anyway, go to click, and where it says C, click on that. And this is actually a thing that I do like about Pro Tools. They have the normal click track, right? But then they also have it, you can go through all these different click track tones, which is great. And these are better, in my opinion, than that normal doot, 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 doot. You know, just a lot more musical. And there you go. The other important thing for recording music is a count off. And to enable that, you come up here where it says count off, click that, and a count off, basically when you hit record, it'll play for a measure or two, depending on your preferences, and then it'll start recording. Speaking of recording, let's do that right now. And so what I need to do, when I hit record enable, it's going to echo. So check, check, check. And the way I'm going to get rid of that, really simple. I'm going to go to my mix window, Control equals, and I'm going to bring this down, this fader right here, all the way down. I could also mute it, so let me mute it instead. And I can mute it actually from the main window, right here, M. And now the echo's gone. And so to record, I can do one of two things. I can click the record button and then press the play button, and that'll start recording, or I'll click that to get rid of it. The faster option is to press Control and the space bar at the same time. Ready? Control, space bar, and I got a click track, so I'm going to get rid of that, because guess what? The click track's coming through my vocal feed because of the way I have things set up with this program. So I'm going to mute it so that I don't have a click track anymore. Okay? So there's, oh, by the way, if you haven't seen my proper recording levels video, on the mix window, you see that my peaks are right between -15 and 10. So yeah, that's where I want my waveform to be. And let's see. The waveforms look small. They absolutely do. But if you click over here, there's a button, and it's actually a button with two halves, vertical halves. On the top half, you can actually make the waveforms bigger. So let me do that right now. I don't know if I could do this while recording, but we're going to find out together. Check, check, check. Yep. See, I can make them bigger. And so if some artist is like, hey man, you're not recording the whole thing, I can be like, yes, I am. So there. I like that feature. Very cool. So I'm going to stop recording now with space. And then if I want to go back to the beginning, hit enter. And let's listen back. And actually, when I listen back, I'm going to disable my microphone. And I got a click track, so I'm going to get rid of that because guess what? The click track's coming through my vocal feed because of the way I have things set up with this program. Alright, I think you guys get the idea. So that recorded perfectly fine. I did forget to tell you two things. So if you right click where this gray bar is, where my mouse arrow is, right click that, and you can actually change your track sizes. So I'm going to do large right now. So if I want to change the track size for every single track, you come down to the bottom right corner here and click plus or minus. And I'll put it back to the normal size. Or, again, right click this gray bar and I can fill up the entire window with one track if I wanted to. You know, maybe I want to see the waveform in detail when I'm editing or something. That makes sense. Nothing wrong with that. But I do want to put it back to the medium size because I have further steps to talk about. To do something what's called punch-in recording, there's two main options. So you can either right click, change this to quick punch, and then what you want to do is hit play, and then when you want to punch in, you actually hit the record button. So I'm going to hit play a little bit before here, and then as soon as this ends, I want to record where this gap is and then stop recording where the gap ends. Alright, so I'll start right here and then hit play. Okay, now the cool thing is quick punch actually records the entire time, so you're only seeing where you hit the quick punch, but if you messed up, you can always come back and see that it overwrites that. Okay, and now the other way to do it is basically it's called auto punch. You actually have to enable pre and post roll under options. You can also click Control K. So now that's enabled. And now here's the interesting part, okay? You actually have to click a selection and then hold Alt. So actually, let me do this as if I was going to do it for real. So I'm going to start right here, but then I'm going to hold Alt and click again. Again, I'm up here where the mouse arrow is now an I key. So I'm going to hit that while I'm holding Alt. And see that move that orange arrow back? And if I keep clicking around, it's going to move the orange arrow around. I want enough time, though, before I had to record to get ready to record. And then I can also do that. I think the pre and post roll match in Pro Tools first. I think in the full version you can select that for different pre and post roll times. But actually, no, you can check. You can click around. All right, never mind. I changed my mind. So I can do a post roll, and I'll end the post roll. I guess I'll do it right here. And that messed me up. There. So the post roll is going to end, and now I'm going to make my selection. And let's see what happens when I hit record and then play. There you go. Auto punch. I'm going to put this back on regular record now and show you loop recording actually. This is a cool little feature. So again, I'm hitting Control Z by the way. Right click the record button and hit loop. And then what this enables you to do is to select the portion. Let's say you're recording yourself and you messed up a part and you want to record a bunch of different takes. So I'm going to select an area. And again, I can do the post roll stuff. Again, alt clicking up on the upper right, on the upper part of the track. So my post roll is back there. I'm sorry, my pre-roll is back there. And then once I start the loop recording, I don't think it does the pre-roll again, but we're going to find out right now. So hit record enable on the transport up here and then hit play. Yeah, so it just keeps repeating over and over. So the way you get your takes is really simple. Right-click on the section that you just recorded at, and then choose Matching Alternatives, and then there's your list. And you can go through all these different ones. Obviously that one's not good because there was nothing recorded there. And then there's one at the end I did something. And there you go. I'll give you one other interesting tip. This is called how to record at half speed. So first of all, I'm going to change my record button back to main normal record. And then what I'm going to do, if I were playing for real, is I would, number one, play an octave down from the real part, because what I'm going to do is play at half speed. And let's say you want to do a guitar solo, but you're not very fast at fretting. Well, again, play an octave down, so transpose your notes, and then with record enable here, and then with shift and control at the same time, hit the play button. And now we're doing half speed. And I'm going to play it back and hear what it sounds like.
And now we're doing half speed. And I'm going to play it back and hear what it sounds like.
Pretty cool, right?